everybody. You got to miss me humming the final countdown as we were waiting. Michael!
Jamie!
How are you?
I'm very well.
So we haven't talked at all this week, have we?
That is true.
Oh, man. You know what? This is like, we've gone through the entire, with the Kings, we've gone through the entire deck.
This will be the last one, yeah.
So, and it's been, what, about 8 months?
It's been a journey.
It's been a journey. And again, Michael, how did this all start? Remember?
I do.
Way back when.
Way back when.
We were having dinner with our significant others, and every time we get together, because Michael just lives behind me here, every time we'd get together, we would talk about tarot because Michael's making his own deck. And I just love this story just for the simple fact that it's like, you know, we were doing that, and then the women just got tired of it. It's like, can you guys just not? Why don't you guys start a podcast? Yeah, start a podcast. Yeah, start a podcast. So we started this.
So we did.
And this is now where we've
joined
had our
us.
discussions on it. Yes. Yeah. And I am thrilled and ecstatic.
Thank you for joining us. And if you haven't seen the rest of the videos, you can explore them.
Yep.
You know, there's the whole tarot that
there is the whole. We're going to redo some of the videos too.
Right.
We're very excited about that. To see how bad we were when we first started.
Aw, we weren't too bad.
We weren't too bad. Yeah.
But we could update.
Oh my gosh, they were pretty bad. But
anyway, so we finish. Should we finish?
We are going to go through
the saga.
Yeah, let's think for a second here. So when the tarot came out, 15th century, as a game, it was a game. So we're talking about the kings here. So kings in the 15th century, when we're talking about the Marseille as we go into the 16th century, Italy was a bunch of city-states.
Uh-huh.
So there were no big kings. You had the Medici family. You had the kingdom, you know, different kingdoms and everything. And so being a king was more about politically trying to either marry into another family or watch your back door to make sure that, you know, your neighbor's not trying to come in and steal your land. And hello, Maureen. The Kabbalah next. Greetings, the Alpine Gone.
That would be great.
Yeah, really. So the kings were not, you know, when we think about kings now, I mean, we just saw a queen die, and it's like this huge, giant thing. And when you're in the kingdom, yes, they have the rule over everything, but they are not the ultimate. You had the Pope at this point,
sure,
who had even more power for the most part,
and that's
even
why
though you had people fighting about that.
And that's why in the tarot, your Hierophant or your Pope comes after
it's
it's
higher
the
than
Emperor.
Yep. Because if you're playing this game, think about it. You know, it's a game of trumps, and so one card is higher than the other.
Triumphs over the next.
Yep. So you can't have the Emperor take the Pope, because the next thing that happens is that they kill you. So the Pope had to be above that,
right?
And then he's the last of the you know when you're talking about physical people,
mm-hmm.
you know, and then you go into the other side, you go into the further depths,
higher things,
the higher things,
yes,
love and will and all this other stuff. So when we're thinking about the kings, that's why there are the minors here,
right? These are day-to-day personalities, people you might know. These are
exactly.
These are characters.
The court cards could be us, they could be somebody else, or they could be a situation, all dependent upon the cards.
Yep.
And so we have our kings, and it's the personalities of the kings. So the kings are show kings. See, kings are the element of what, Michael?
Well, they are the element of air.
They are, and what does that mean?
So thoughts and thinking and the intellect, all the logic.
All that thing that, exactly. Because a king has to be, you know, there's going to be different personalities, but above all, he has to rule.
He has to rule.
He has to
good to
have
be the
that
king.
Logic, whether he's ruling with his heart, his mind,
right.
You know, his soul, because each of the cards, if you think about it. So here we're going to look at the king. And as we go through, but we know about the cups, we know about the wands. And so with the cups, he's ruling with the heart.
Right. Let's do them
I'm
one by one.
I'm just doing it. We
Okay.
are. But I'm saying that with the cups, he rules with the heart.
Absolutely.
With the wands, he rules with the soul.
Yeah, or action. Yeah.
With the swords, he rules with the head.
Yep.
And then with the coins, he rules with, what is that? I know it's an earth element.
It's
so
earth,
we have
yeah.
head, heart, soul,
Feet on the ground.
and feet on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
there was
very
another one for
grounded.
that. Because I was just thinking about that before you walked in. It's like, okay, so,
Yep.
but each one of these elements is how he's going to rule.
Very, down to earth for that.
So who do you want to start with?
Let's start with the swords.
Swords.
Yes.
Okay, so
So heir of air.
heir of air.
This is the pure mind. He's looking straight ahead and unveils the truth behind appearances.
And here we have the original Marseille.
Yes.
And we've also got the Noble here to put next to it.
Sure.
So these were the Noble was one of the original woodcuts.
Yep.
This is the one that other cards that came along would be based on. The Convert here is the one that the tarot, that the people who made the tarot popular and
this is
esoteric.
When you say tarot,
I'm saying the tarot as we know it for divination or fortune telling or or any esoteric means. They initially started out with this one.
Yeah. Again, you like to draw a hard line in the sand, and I like to leave room for doubt regarding the possibility that people were using these cards for divination before the esoteric societies of the 17th century.
Yeah.
So
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. So I mean, but with these,
well, even de Gebelin said that he saw somebody doing it before he came up with his ideas.
Absolutely.
That it was Egyptian. Before he pulled that one. So I mean, and so even before all that,
but the Convert is what you're saying.
Convert's
the one that most of the ones that we know of.
It was the popular deck.
Exactly.
It was the popularized.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
Yep.
We always have that conversation.
We do.
So, and here we have the king, and so we're talking about heir of air, which means that it's all about the thought.
Absolutely.
He's pretty much the minor version of justice. Mm-hmm. Because here he is, and with the Convert,
sword straight up
and down. He's looking over to the future. Mm-hmm. He's making sure that what the future, he's keeping an eye out there. He's even got shoulder pads that are looking both
ways.
Back and forth.
Yep.
And so he's got his feet pointed towards the past.
Right, but he's looking towards the future.
Because he knows that his lineage and where he comes from is the past, but he always has to keep an eye on the future.
Right. And I like to associate him in the Myers-Briggs with ESTJ, which is the administrator. Mm-hmm. So this is completely logical, completely by the book. He is the administrator.
Exactly. And that's his personality.
Yes.
So he's not going to be one to give a lot of empathy if you come to this king.
No. He's going to, just the facts.
Just the facts.
Right.
So who do we got next?
So let's move on to the Rider-Waite-Smith.
We got it here. And now what happens here?
So the Rider-Waite-Smith, you're adding a whole bunch of extra symbology. So you've got the sylphs, which are the little fairy guys right in there.
Which, if you're going to mention him, look at how he's almost like leaning and whispering into the king's ear.
Yeah.
I mean, Pamela Coleman Smith didn't just put stuff in idly.
No.
And so here we have our butterflies, which represent the air. And here we have...
But the sylphs represent the transmission of ideas and goals, so it's very appropriate that it would be whispering.
It exactly is.
Yeah.
Some people suggest that might even be like a fairy. Maybe those are wings.
Right. It's a fairy, a sylph.
Yep.
And the butterfly is the alpha omega qualities of how he's going to rule. He's going to be he'll determine whether you live or die.
Look at that stern look on his face.
Yeah.
That is very stern.
But he's always in complete control. Always has the last word in any situation. And the top of the throne is unseen. So there's that limitless potential. He's in charge.
And some people say these are sickles. Other people say that they are moons. I tend to think they're sickles because he cuts. He cuts through the bowl.
Right. And in the Golden Dawn version, he's actually holding a sickle in one hand.
Yep.
So he creates with the sword and destroys with the sickle.
And the thing about him, though, is that his sword is tilting.
It is tilting.
So that shows fallibility. Shows because that he can anger and react.
So this is... there's good and bad in all the cards, and especially with the court cards, because these are human. So humans are fallible. These aren't like a major. This isn't the major arcana. So the sword is definitely slanting on this one. Yeah. I mean, he is a logical guy, but he's still human. Yeah.
And so here he is. And so we're enthroned here, and we can see we've got some clouds in the background, but he's actually elevated. He's on a hilltop. He can actually see over top of the trees.
Yep.
He can see over top of all the problems. See how we have the clouds here, and his heads are actually above the clouds. Mm-hmm. And here's some ideas just kind of floating around.
Some little birdies, but it's a pair of them. He's not quite like the queen. He's a little more friendlier than she might be.
So the good thing about the king then is that even if there is disturbance down here, even if he's still
rises
his head is above it.
Yeah.
He can see clearly when we can't.
Right.
So that's that king.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so now it gets a little complicated. So we're going into the Thoth.
Oh my gosh.
And Crowley does not have kings in his deck. So yeah.
We already kind of did his king.
Well, yes and no. So the knight...
And that's the thing about Crowley. Well, yes and no.
Right. So the knights are the queen's consort because Crowley, he's not going to have an old man as a king. He wants a nice virile young knight. But so and there's esoteric ideas that are being conveyed here. The king, the knight. There is no kings. The knight and the queen get together. They have a prince, but then the prince grows up, becomes the new king. There's no kings, So it's.
He had to do his own thing because you can have a younger. You can have a younger king.
You can, and the way to think. Focus.
It's too good at focusing on you, Michael.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. So you can have a younger king, but I couldn't figure out why he wanted to change it because I heard different theories.
Yeah. So the main thing to help simplify is that elementally the kings are princes. They're both seated. In the Thoth deck, they're seated in chariots. In the Rider-Waite, they're seated on a throne. They're both, but you can think of it that way as corresponding. The knights are all about action, and that's and that carries forth both ways. The thing that it gets confusing is Waite was switching up the elements of the court card personalities to keep his oaths. And Crowley was throwing that all out. So whereas with the kings in the Rider-Waite, he was associating with that rank with fire, and that's actually the knight. Crowley says, okay, well, we're going to keep the knight fire, but I'm going to make the prince have that Aram element that the king, there should be no kings, has. So he's switching it up, trying to make it less confusing, but to somebody that has been very familiar with the Rider-Waite, it makes it a little bit more confusing.
And so why do I read the Marseille Tarot so much?
Right.
Because
it's
nobody's
simpler.
Fingers are in that pie.
Yeah, the Marseille keeps it nice and simple.
And as we're sitting here talking about it, what I should have done was pulled out our buddy.
Yeah.
Where is
Which
he?
buddy? Oh, Oswald Worth.
Because that was before all of them.
Yeah.
And I just read with that this morning.
Worth is a great one. But we should do another
I'm not going to pull it out.
Yeah, we should do another of these talks, and I can explain more clearly, because it really would be a whole talk in itself.
You know, yeah.
But
I'm not even that pressed with the crowley. So to me, it's like he just did whatever he wanted his entire life.
Well, yes and no. He was actually...
Have you read anything by Crowley?
Yeah.
Do what thou wilt is the whole of the law.
Yeah, but he
left a guy stranded in the desert.
All right. But the
you don't even.
it was actually on a mountain. But
was that his trip to the Everest?
It was the.
But I know he also left a guy in, I think it was Libya.
If you say so.
I know. Not to mention what he did in Italy.
He was all right. There's lots of stories.
He does whatever he wants.
There's lots of stories with the Beast, but
this is funny because I have to be out of here in exactly so it's 6.
I'm trying to
because I have to pick up my girl because she's at Palms.
So I'm trying to rein you in.
So
we could go down Crowley stories all day.
So I know.
But he was very faithful actually to the Golden Dawn. So let me try and explain what this card is all about.
Okay, so let's do that.
Yeah. So here, the Prince of... we're doing just great. So the Prince of Swords, so he, much like the king in the Rider-Waite, he's got the fairy sylphs, but they're drawing the chariot. And the wings are enclosed in yellow bubbles, because this is heir of air. So it's again, just like it's all that yellow, it's swords, it's thoughts. But the look at the sylphs here, the fairies, they're pulling in different directions. So just like the mind, you can have like these thoughts that ping ball around. It's the same thing here. He's trying to keep them all under control. But yeah, there's a mass of fine, what does Crowley call it? A mass of fine ideal unrelated to practical effort. So sometimes those thoughts get scattered when it's being pulled in different ways. But you'll see in his hand there, he's got the sword, almost like
sword on one hand, yep.
Yeah, and
there's the sickle again,
and the sickle on the other. So he creates with the sword and destroys with the sickle. It's very similar to the Golden Dawn, more true than even the Rider-Waite-Smith deck is.
Right.
But you see that subtly hidden.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's Crowley, but it's
good old Mr. Crowley.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Okay, so swords, we got that. We know that's heir of air, and that's very logical.
Yes. Moving on to water. So this is heir of water, and here we have
an older king.
Right. Well, he does have a beard.
He does have a beard
in this version. And but he's connected to the subconscious because of that water, but he's still drawn to the higher purpose. He's dramatic and objective. So this means he might be brooding. But in the I wanted to pull out.
Well, the
Go on. Yep.
Yeah. So cups are emotions. Cups are our feelings. And so when you have a king who's so logical, this king tries to rule with his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
this is a type of king who believes that maybe along the lines of his role is to be of service to the people instead of the people being of service to him.
Right. And in the old school version of the corresponding playing card,
yes,
this is the King of Hearts, actually. So the cups translate to hearts. And so
here we have your
Suicide King.
The Suicide King.
Right. So he might be a little bit more dramatic, but he communicates his ideas in this melodramatic way. He's mock suicide posed there, which actually it's an interesting story. It started out with the wood block of the king holding a battle axe, and that got corrupted over time and became a sword behind the head.
Right.
And then
and not in his head actually, but that's what we call it, the Suicide King.
We do. And then the whole lore grew. Why is he killing himself? And there's stories to go along with that. But the myth grew. But now it's just basically carrying forth into the tarot as he's a little bit more dramatic in the way he expresses his ideas.
Spock, right? What do you mean? Right. I'm not being dramatic.
Exactly.
So here he is on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yep.
Down in his cup.
But He's
But yeah, so but that is the person. This is like a therapist. This is somebody who is a trusted person
Yes.
who you can go to. They can be logical. But they'll give you the tough love. I mean, it's kind of like the Queen
Yep.
of Swords,
Yep.
which is his consort in a way. So he is the king, but he is compassionate.
compassionate but tough love.
But don't
Yep.
mess with him.
Yeah.
And again, he's looking towards the future.
And I like to compare to associate this card with the Myers-Briggs with ENFJ, which is the teacher.
The teacher.
So again, that
Yeah.
firm, sturdy, but caring as well. He's gonna impart his knowledge, but do it with a little bit of heart.
Right. And in the real world, I would even equate this to somebody who's like a therapist, somebody who wants to help.
Yes.
This is the person we want to go to.
Yeah, a tarot reader.
Yeah, when we don't want to go to the Hierophant, to the
Right,
Pope,
right.
Because that is so strict and stringent, but we
And-
need somebody who can, and we don't want the Emperor because he's really busy.
And they're on that higher level. We want somebody that's relatable, somebody human that we can actually
Yep.
talk to.
And so here he's staring at you while you're sitting on the couch,
right?
right? He's saying, "How do you feel about that?" That's where he's in mid pose of, "How do you feel about that?"
Indeed. All right. Well, moving on to Rider-Waite-Smith. Kind of like the Hermit, but yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on in this card.
So yeah, here he is, all hermited away on a desert island.
He's in the middle of a sea of troubles, and he's not even bothered.
Not bothered in the bit.
Not bothered in the least bit. We even get a little dolphin here, fish.
Yeah.
Some people say it's a dolphin. And he's even got his toes sitting there so the waves can like lap on his toes a little bit. A little ship here, but they're going to sail the seas even though they're a little rough.
Yeah. I like to think of as the boat and fish, signifying that he's flexible to change. But the rock as his solid beliefs that gives him strength, but it might cause him to be a little bit over idealistic. But he's not afraid to speak his mind. He will get up from that rock and he'll tell you all about it.
Well, here's the type of person he is. So even though the waves are a little bit rough out here, people are willing to hop in that boat.
Right, come see him.
To have an audience with this king.
Yeah.
So when we are in rough seas, the hardest thing we can do is ever get in our car or get into this boat and, take 270, which we have all the traffic and everything. It's just not worth it. I'm not going to do it. But he's worth seeing.
He's worth the trip.
So, yep. And so we've got the seashell in the background because, again, we're dealing with the water. Mm-hmm. We've got a fish on a chain here.
Yeah, little pendant.
Little pendant with the fish.
Connecting him to water.
And water, also that is, that could also connect maybe with a little bit of a higher thought, more of a fantastical kind of thought. Again, fish jumping out of the water. And one thing that's interesting is that some people say that his crown, that's not just fluffy stuff.
Yeah, he's got a kind of a cool hood that comes down.
Well, not that part.
Oh, which part
I'm
are you talking
about the fact that it looks like they're jellyfish.
Oh.
So red jellyfish, which are in the ocean.
Okay.
And there's people that say, and I saw that now every time I heard about that, it's like now every time I see it, it's like, are they jellyfish?
I don't know.
They could be.
Or hearts or something.
Yeah, but I could see that as being jellyfish.
Maybe.
Because he's also got a snake going through his crown.
Right.
See, look at that.
I do. Yeah, and on my card, I actually have a snake crawling up his arm.
Ah.
Yeah.
And he's not even as, Pamela Coleman did a good job. Gave him a little mascara, gave him a little rouge on his lips.
Yeah, he's not bearded in this version.
And the most important thing also is that cards are gender neutral. So when I say him, he, them, this could actually be a woman.
Absolutely.
So they are gender neutral.
Yeah.
But yes, so that is, that's the person you want to, even if it's a struggle, get in your boat.
Go see him.
You'll feel better afterwards.
Right?
Yes.
And now, the Thoth version. The Prince of Cups. And his chariot is drawn by a black eagle. And Crowley describes this character as the moral characteristics are subtlety, secret violence, and craft. intensely secret and an artist in all his ways, he is in fact perfectly ruthless. So I don't know who the King of Cups was in Crowley's life, but somebody crossed him. But he's immense abilities, but cannot be relied upon to work in harness, meaning that he's an independent soul and not to be controlled, which is appropriate for a king. But yeah, this is...
You know what it reminds me is in Shakespeare, is it As You Like It, where Juno, with the Deus Ex Machina, Juno descends from the heavens. It's like out of nowhere.
Right.
Here's Juno descending from the heavens on
very
a bird,
dramatic, almost like
out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's like a comic book. It's very dramatic entrance on that that chariot.
So he's got a
Love
bird.
it.
Well, he's got a bird pooping on his head.
No, that's the.
Oh, that's not. The bird's not just chilling.
That's part of his helmet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's
I
he's
can
very
see why
fancy.
Crowley would say.
Crowley
would say yes.
Very dramatic.
Very dramatic. Okay.
All right. Moving on. Let's go to wands.
The wands.
Yes.
Come here, Mr. Wand.
Chalice instead of cups. Yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, so here is Mr. Wand, and I associate this with ESFJ. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't. ENTJ, rather. The commander is the King of Wands. So he is controlling of appetite and passion. So if you're going to compare it to somebody in Shakespeare, this would be Falstaff, is what they say.
No, who says that? Because the King of Wands. So this could be Prince Hal.
Okay.
In Henry IV Part 1.
Okay.
Where he is about to be king, which happens in Henry after his father dies. But I don't see him as being Falstaff, because Falstaff is the fool.
Well, but he enjoys life. And he's a little bit debaucherous. He's,
Well, yes. So okay. So we have the elements of air and fire.
Right.
And
you know what happens.
The wands are passion.
Yeah.
The wands are creativity. The wands, having him sit still like this, he's ready. It's like
he's ready to jump up. You know,
know
what happens with air and fire.
He's not looking at his counselor. He's actually looking out the window. Right. He sees, it's like, you know what? I want to get on that ship and I want to just go sailing someplace. Yeah. So he is full of energy.
A powerful personality.
This is a project manager. So if you're talking about
the commander,
Myers-Briggs.
The commander.
This is somebody who is a project manager. This is somebody who not only will start a project, but he's creative and will get it done.
Right. He'll bolster the ideas into dynamic action. So he's not only like the idea guy, but he's the action guy as well.
Oh, absolutely action guy, which is probably why he's looking so young here.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, I just wanted to pull out the different wands here real quick, just to show you how with... Oh, whoops. Here we go. Sorry. Wand.
That's the noble.
Yeah. So we've got the... So look how they're holding it. He can barely lift his wand, the page, and then the knight comes along and he's got a good grip on. He's holding it up. He's swinging it around.
Yep.
And then the queen comes and she's kind of holding it in her lap, but down at the bottom, so she's still holding it strongly. And now the king is kind of like at the end, and he's like holding it up top. He's kind of like a little bit older now, but just because he's just a little bit older doesn't mean that he's I wouldn't test him because he can still get up and get you.
And keep in mind that wands are very phallic. Wands are considered very sexual, so these are very sexual cards.
Yes, indeed.
So that might be why he's smiling.
It could be. But moving on to the writer Wade Smith, we've got
this guy does not look very sexual.
Well, maybe not. He's got the gold crown with the flame-like points.
Yeah.
He's got the lion and the salamanders, so very fiery action. And but courageous in nature, pure driven resolve, self-confidence, strong convictions. Throne also not visible on top, so like his queen, limitless possibilities. He is, a fire and air.
Fire and you can see that he's in a desert scape. There's no water. The only thing that shows real sign of life are the budding of creativity.
Sure.
That he's creating. But, yep, and of course the salamanders, where they believe that salamanders actually, as they scurried through fires, they were attracted to the fires, they scurry through, and they thought that salamanders actually were birthed from fire.
Born of fire, yeah.
And so he's got his robe here with that, and more salamanders here. So again, that when this personality comes up, this is somebody, and he's even looking at it. It's like he's looking to the past, so he's gauging the project based on where we've come from already. So he's looking towards the past there.
Yeah, but ready to...
And he's got fiery thoughts.
Definitely.
Yes. But he doesn't like being caught by surprise, and yet he's totally blinded by the future here. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So...
Well, not in the thought.
I mean, his feet are pointing to the past.
Backwards.
Everything.
He's all looking back.
Yeah.
Interesting for a fiery guy. Yeah. Again, that might be some of Waite's blinds. Who knows? But laying it all on the line is Mr. Crowley.
Lay it on the lines.
So yeah, fire. Talk about fire. So the Prince of Wands, he's a romantic, especially in matters of history and tradition. So that might be why in the Rider-Waite he's looking back. But at the point of folly, and may engineer stunts or play elaborate practical jokes. This was Crowley's idealized image of himself. So on his breastplate, you'll see the symbol of the beast, the mark of the beast, and then the pose that he is in is actually Crowley's favorite yoga pose. It's called the...
So that is the emblem of the beast.
Yeah. It's got like it's kind of like a subtle 666 and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But that's his emblem. But the pose that the posture that he is in is the Thunderbolt Asana, which was Crowley's favorite yoga pose. So he's very much identifying with this
Looks like
card.
it's in motion.
Yes, he's coming right
it's
at
like
you.
Kimba the White Lion, Kimba,
Yeah.
Anyway.
He described this guy as a fighter against all odds, but in the very long run, he will win. So this is how Crowley sees himself: is at the very end, I'll come out on top.
Yeah. They almost look like flaming icicles.
Well, it's fire, but it's
no, that's what I'm saying. It
yeah,
almost looks like flaming icicles. It's pretty wild.
It's definitely geometric fire.
And another thing here about having control. I mean, we're kind of talking about maybe like the Chariot.
Reins in one hand, scepter in the other.
Yeah, but look at how he's not grasping the reins. He's totally in control.
Well, yeah, that's true. They're kind of like overlapping.
Yeah, he's not holding them at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right, moving on to the Earth.
Oy.
Let's ground ourselves.
Look at this guy.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you want to do the Marseille first?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yes. Well, don't look at him yet. Look at this dude.
Yes. Where's mine?
So we have Heir of Earth.
Yeah. Where is my Heir of Earth? There he is. Okay. Cool. So, all right. So the Heir of Earth, I consider this is the card that I link with ESFJ, the provider.
Sure.
And he provides to his kingdom. He has control over the environment. He's solid, steady, sensuous, a solution to all human problems. He's got the intellectual aspects of air, but the material constraints of the earth. Might be a little bit obstinate. He's got controlled passion, and will enthusiastically assist whenever possible in a most professional way.
So, I mean, he even looks like somebody who's no nonsense.
He's down to earth.
You know, he's down to earth. It looks like he probably just came out of the field after helping some farmers in his kingdom.
Sure.
Making sure things are growing. This is somebody who is conservative. Somebody who is, because you think about how grounded we are with this card.
Yeah.
It's about being conservative, about making sure things grow, meticulous.
But he's looking forward.
And he's also really good with money.
Yep.
So this is a card about money. And but you can see that he's holding money. He has money. He's going to keep that money. But, you know, I look at this card. Money is not always his main focus, because this is just a good-hearted person.
Indeed.
Salt of the earth kind of person.
Yeah.
So, yep.
All right.
So
moving on to, now we can go to the Crowley version.
Yeah. And he's looking at the future. No, we can go now to the Marseille. I mean, to the Rider-Waite.
Oh, what did I say?
You said to the Crowley.
Oh, sorry. Didn't want to skip ahead too
That's
far.
okay.
Yep. No, let's go to the Rider-Waite-Smith
So,
first. Yes,
and
please.
his eyes are wide open. He's looking to the future. And I wonder if that's like a book, but he's holding something there. But here we have this guy.
Yeah.
And now this is somebody who grew some wines, and now he's a little bit sleepy. He's like, man, I just partied all night.
And notice he's got the black throne as opposed to a gray throne. So this is connecting him to the rich soil of the earth. He's the only one with the black throne. But he's got the bull heads also.
Got 4 of them. Fours are about stability and being solid.
Yeah, all about
and
that.
they're Taurus.
Yeah. And notice underneath his foot here, there is a pig or wild boar.
Yep.
So he's got the authority and skill to hunt the boar and bring home the bacon.
Well, it also shows that the wild boar represents our instincts. And so it shows that he is completely in control of his instincts.
Could be.
He's tamed the wildness.
Yeah.
Unlike the wands, which,
is a little more wild.
Yeah, wild and passionate and everything else. This shows conservativeness because, again, I am the king here.
Yep.
I am, I have tamed the wild instincts. I now have made things grow.
I've hunted the beast, so we're going to have bacon. I've got the wine, so we're going to have, I've got the grapes, so we can have the wine. It's going to be a party at my house.
Well, not only is he's so in tune with the earth, it's almost as if the vines grow into his clothes, as if he's actually clothed in the vines.
Part of it, yes, indeed.
But an interesting thing here also is that he is the one armored king.
Right, so you don't.
The other kings are not armored.
That is true. That is.
He's solid.
Yep. He's ready for anything.
Yeah, and so he will defend his hearth and home.
But he's practical.
And also with all these grapes and everything else, it has to bring to mind Dionysus. It has to bring into mind, the fruits of our labor.
Sure.
And enjoying the fruits of our labor.
Absolutely.
I don't think that this card represents the laughter that goes with having hearth and home when I see this, but I do see...
Oh, he can have a good day. Come on. Let him have a laugh.
Well, his Snapchat picture doesn't,
Yeah.
He's got a Snapchat filter on there that just makes him look all serious.
Right.
But he's it shows that he's on top of his parapet, and again, he's looking out over his kingdom.
Yes.
So here we can see he can look over... And he, being conservative, he keeps an eye out and he's slow to move. That's why he's so rooted. He is slow to move.
He's got the material things. He enjoys the good life that he has worked hard to create. You see the fruitful garden. You see the castle. You see the throne. He's worked hard. He's gotten to this position of power, and now he's not. He's not going to be an uptight king. He's going to share his bounty with all his kingdom, but he definitely is well grounded to the material, worldly things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have Mr. Crowley.
Indeed. Okay.
You'll never tire of me singing Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy, never. But yes, okay, so in the Thoth, Prince of Discs, you have a chariot filled with globular seeds, and his eyes are closed in meditation. He's a practical handyman, and Crowley says he's competent, ingenious, thoughtful, cautious, trustworthy, imperturbable, and constantly seeks new uses for common things. So he's just he's a down-to-earth, like you were saying, a salt of the earth kind of guy. But yeah.
And he's secure enough to just go around naked.
Yep. He sure is.
So what's coming out of the bull's nose? Because it almost looks like he's being
I think that's supposed
guided by.
I think.
See, the reins are actually attached to.
Yeah. It's kind of like
that.
it's like a
Talk about being in control.
Yeah. It's like the bull. You usually have a ring through their nose. This guy just kind of has these two stakes coming out of it.
Zoom is wonderful.
Yeah, but they're very detailed cards. They definitely are.
Now, here's something that's interesting also, is that the perspective. So he knows, or Frida knows how to do perspective because we see that with the other chariots.
Uh-huh.
So with this chariot, we can see upside down. But, like you're seeing one side of one wheel here and everything else. But this one is like the classic older version of the chariot.
Yeah.
In the chariot card, the number 7 card in the Marseille, where you're seeing that for whatever reason the perspective
it's a little bit more
off.
Yeah, a little more cubist, but that is the way of the world, or at least Frida's world.
Okay, what do we got next?
That is it. How are we doing on time?
That is it. We're doing great. I'll be able to pick up Fiona. So here we are.
6. What is that? 6:11. Okay, so we're doing good.
We're doing great.
Okay.
So let's think then for a second. So when you were studying or looking through this, was there any big revelations or anything?
Well, I mean,
that kind of popped up.
I could, if you want to, let's do a reading, and if we still have time, I can give you a quick explanation of how kings become princes and all that good stuff.
No, save that for
another video.
We should actually. What I want you to do is...
I've got the notes for it.
I was going to say, what I want you to do is write it up and teach me. And so I will... The deal is I will not study any more of the Thoth.
Okay.
Because, it's important for some people, and I thoroughly recognize it.
Yeah.
But if you would like to teach me about the Thoth, then let's do a video where I can just ask stupid questions and I can sing Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay. All right. But to wrap up this one, let's do a reading.
Okay.
As we always do.
So, do you have a particular card you would like to use?
Which king calls to you? I know which king we should use.
I always lean towards the King of
Cups.
Yeah. because that is where,
I thought you might say that.
Yeah, so where emotion kicks in and things like that. So let's see here.
Let's use him.
So here we have the King of Cups. You want to use yours or mine?
No, you use yours. I'm just holding it up.
Okay, so we're going to go with the King of Cups. And as we normally do, it's like the cards can mean anything and everything, but until you actually see them in action.
In a reading,
because that's where you really get to tell. So,
that's where the magic happens.
Jason. Here we go.
Get the rest of your deck.
I do have it. This deck has been getting some use. So I had not used this deck that much for years. Because this was like my original
your first deck.
Smith.
Yeah.
And so I put it away because it's like treating it like a little treasure, and it's like it doesn't want to be treated like a treasure.
No. Tarots are for using.
Yeah, thoroughly for using.
All right, so what does the king have to teach us?
What does the king have to teach us? So, if we were going to be using him as a significator.
Yeah.
So, we have the past, we have the future. He is somebody who would say, this is where we came from, but this is what we need to do. He is an advice giver.
Yeah.
So what advice? I'm sitting here shuffling like I do that every time.
Well, this is good. It's good to shuffle.
So
get that new energy in
here
there.
We have the advice giver here, and I'm struggling with something. I need just somebody who can be compassionate but give that tough love. Tell me, what was going on and where I need to go.
What's the lesson? What's the past and what's the future?
Okay, here's a relationship reading because I tell you what, here it is. It's just this rough, wild relationship, and recognizing it for what it is. So
the Queen of Wands reversed.
The Queen of Wands reversed. So we have fire and
water.
And fire and water mixing together, but in a negative way, which means we have steam, we have anger,
Bubbles.
we have jealousy because wands are passion. So maybe we need to look, and this could be, again, it could be somebody else, or it could be ourselves. Maybe the deal is that I've had to deal with my own jealousies and my own angers. And that's the conversation that would be had. Is there somebody? Is there a situation? Or is this me?
And what's the advice? Or where should you go to the future?
So interesting enough, we have the Queen of Swords, and we saw how I just shuffled this.
Yeah.
But now we have the Queen of Swords reversed.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire, because now we have. Instead of the Queen of Wands, we have the Queen of Air, and this is somebody who is unemotional, somebody who is not able to attach. And so it's like we don't know what we're searching for. So the thing is with this king is that he would probably say, you just need to stop. You don't know what you're looking for.
So when the Queen of Swords is reversed, you're saying that she's unemotional? I see that as when she's overly emotional.
I'm saying, or she could be overly emotional.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying that, because we already have the emotions and fire in here, just my mind said, okay, so normally, this is about having emotions and things like that. Yes, it could absolutely be all about the negative emotions.
Yeah, what I see is here's some guy and he's stuck in the middle between these two powerful women, and they're both having a bad day. and what's the advice is just trying to find that balance and heart.
There is no balance.
Sometimes
it's that thing where it's like your best. I'm saying that the advice is that you don't know what you want. Your picker is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Moving from one bad relationship to the next.
Right.
Your picker is broken. You need to stop and figure out what's wrong with your picker.
Right. You need to take a time out on this rock in the middle of the ocean, like a hermit, and just kind of like get your, calm, get your peace, and then, the right person will come on the boat or the fish or whatever.
Either that or, since again it's stormy seas,
yeah.
You need to be willing to go into the stormy seas. And maybe that's the advice. Maybe that's what, you're seeking, which is nature, which is something natural.
Uh-huh.
But, nobody wants to, it's like, I don't want to do that. I think I'll just go ahead and, at least I'll go with what I know instead of what I'm not sure. And so I'll go back into that bad relationship because at least it's a relationship. It's like, no, get in the boat and take the moment and seek the advice.
This is definitely a tricky, read here. It's all people, and it's just I'd want to put more cards down to see what's going on.
Yeah,
but
well, he's the advice giver, so he's the one who's saying, and he's and he's revealing the truth, and the truth is that if this is a relationship reading, your picker's broken.
Your picker's broken. That's the advice.
That's the advice. So. We have a couple more minutes.
Okay.
You want to tell us about where you are with your deck?
Sure. So, my journey in, as well as going through the deck with you and explaining these cards to ourselves and learning more about them, has been to research to create my deck, and it continues to. It's like. The more I work on it,
here's the deal, guys.
The more I work,
push him. I want everybody to email him to push him.
So here, the closer I get, it's like the coin on the page of coins with that coin that keeps rolling away. It's the closer I get, the further I get. I keep working on it, and I want to work on it. Of course, right now it's festival season for me, so I'm doing all these I have to, finish up some paintings. I'm working right now on this painting, a wonderful painting.
He needs to. You need to pressure him to at least show some of his cards.
I see that, but here's the thing.
But he wants to surprise everybody.
I want to have it all big grand reveal.
He wants to have a big grand reveal, and I'm like, oh man.
But it is getting closer.
But the universe is like all out there.
I
It's
know.
Like, go Michael, go Michael.
I'm trying. If once I get through, I've got one of my biggest festivals of the year coming up, and once I get that one over with, then I'll be able to double down and focus on finishing my deck. Hopefully, I can still get it done by the end of this year. 2022 was my original goal, so I'm trying to make that happen. But please forgive me if it runs a little bit over into the next year. But it is coming soon, and then hopefully we can look back on this video and say, remember when we were still working on it, and it'll be done, and we can do readings with that.
So there's another local person, and she goes by Madam Ansa, and I was looking at, so I am going to order her deck, and I'm going to suggest, I can't believe I can't remember the name of her deck, because I'm about to order it.
There's a lot of great decks out there.
Madam Ansa, she's a local person here, and she's got a really cool deck that she has a book, and she's got a deck out.
What style is it?
It is, we'd have to look it up.
You said you really like it.
You know what? I'm gonna order it, and I will actually do a review. I haven't done any review. I've got like 20 new decks, and it's like I've done no reviews.
Gotta do some reviews.
So I think that's pretty much about it.
We have gone through the tarot.
Now we're going to go through all our old videos.
Fix a few
In the beginning.
Yeah.
The ones where we were just using a Polaroid camera and writing some words underneath it.
So quick, watch them now before they get updated and you can see our rough cuts.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because there's still some pearls of wisdom in there.
But we'll do them live. We'll let people know.
Right.
Yeah.
So probably be back next Wednesday with something.
Yeah, something. Because it's the Two of Wands.
Right.
Maybe we'll move on to lamp making. I've always been interested in lamp making. It's a very proud profession.
We promise it'll be tarot.
My tarot is now going to be called My Lamp.
No, don't listen to him.
This is my lamp.
It will be tarot themed.
Will it be tarot themed?
Jamie's messing with you.
Are you sure? My lamp. That sounds good.
No, it doesn't.
Michael, thank you.
Jamie, always a pleasure.
And everybody else, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. And it's the fact we went through the whole deck.
It is amazing.
You guys have inspired me to learn so much. And so,
yeah.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
So take care, everybody, and thanks again.